the government shutdown, now into day 27 for the government shutdown over the border wall funding. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi now asking President Trump to postpone his State of the Union address because of this shutdown. Joining me right now is Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Senator, it's good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Can you give us a sense of where we are right now and your reaction to the Speaker now saying, look, we don't want this State of the Union, postpone it?
You know, I think it's an affront to the president and to the office of the presidency, really, for her to have the gall to say, oh, no State of the Union. And so I can't imagine that they'll try to follow through. If they do, my suggestion to Senator McConnell would be to invite him to the Senate. Now, that would defy protocol, but she's already defying protocol. We've never had a State of the Union canceled. And so I think it's pretty galling and very partisan of her to want to do that. So we'll see if it stands. If it stands, I say he should be invited to speak in the Senate.
Yeah, would that be sort of a similar venue? I mean, how would that go? How would that differ?
There's not as many seats. You know, there's 100 senators and there's individual seats. If you had to, you could open the gallery and you could have House members, some standing and some in the gallery, and you could probably accommodate everyone on the Senate side. But really, Congress is the people's house. It's not Nancy Pelosi's house. So I don't really think that one party should get to decide, oh, because we don't like the president of the opposite party, we're not going to have him. That's basically what she's saying. She's miffed because they can't come to a compromise, frankly, because she's unwilling to compromise on any money for the wall.
So, I mean, what's going to break this stalemate, in your view?
You know, I'm not positive. One of the things I introduced this week is so we don't have this again, is I introduced a bill called the Shutdown Prevention Act. And what my bill would do is when you meet a deadline and they haven't passed the spending bills, spending would go on at 99% level. So you'd cut by 1% immediately across the board. And then 90 days later, you'd cut another 1%. 90 days later, you'd cut another 1%. So my guess is that these big spending Republicans and Democrats would all of a sudden say, oh, my goodness, we can't go with cutting spending, which is actually what we should do. And they would actually get together and they would pass appropriation bills. You need a hammer to force them to do their job.
Let me move on to Syria. And you've been on with me before. We've had this conversation in terms of wanting our troops home. 4 Americans killed in a bombing in Syria just yesterday. ISIS is claiming responsibility, as you know, for this attack. This coming after the president did announced that he will be withdrawing American troops from Syria. You met with the president yesterday and you tweeted this: I have never been prouder of President Donald Trump. In today's meeting, he stood up for a strong America and steadfastly opposed foreign wars. Putting America first means declaring victory in Afghanistan and Syria. President Trump is delivering on his promises. Senator, what about those deaths, those killings in Syria?
You know, I met with him in the White House yesterday, and I think his first concern was for those soldiers and for those families. But it's his job, and it's an ominous responsibility to decide when we should be involved and when he should put more lives to be threatened. What happens is that most people say that Syria has no military solution. The same way most people, most generals, most conservatives, liberals, Republicans, Democrats say there's no more military solution in Afghanistan. So should we send more troops to an area where everybody agrees it's a quagmire and there is no military solution? The 2,000 troops we have there are pinned between Kurds and Turks. They're in a precarious position. They're like 50,000 Turks. So really, if you say we're at war in Syria, send 100,000 in, declare war, and let's go to war. But if you want to put 2,000 soldiers as sitting ducks in the middle of two fighting and squabbling parties, I think it doesn't make sense. He's also talking about putting them on an air base, a $1 billion air base that's in Iraq that's like 50 miles away. We don't live in a world where you always have to be a sitting duck in between two warring parties. You know, we have the sophistication that being 50 miles away is a much better place to be strategically. But also, we do have to learn how to declare victory. We don't know how to declare victory. We've been in Afghanistan for 16 years. We won that war. We defeated the people who helped the people who attacked us on 9/11, and yet we don't know how to declare victory and come home.
So you're not worried that this is going to stoke ISIS even further?
Not at all. I guess I'm really, really happy to have a president for the first time in my lifetime who's willing to tell the swamp in Washington that we're not staying forever. We're not going to be a sap. We spend $50 billion a year in Afghanistan building their roads. We're nation building over there. We're not fighting a war. It has nothing to do with our national security. Yeah. They're draining our treasury, and this president says we're going to spend that money here at home.
Senator, let me switch gears because you're going to be undergoing hernia surgery next week. You are traveling to Canada for injuries sustained after being assaulted by your neighbor back in 2017. The media was pretty disgusting when reporting about this this week. They criticized you for traveling to Canada for the surgery, missing the story of what the hospital is in Canada. Why don't you tell us why you're going to Canada?
Well, you know, I've had a tough year. I had 6 broken ribs, 3 of them broken and then separated, so they would ground upon each other for months until they healed. I had a pneumonia twice, I had fluid around my lung, and now I have a hernia that has to be repaired from this. And the thing is that I looked around for a place that does a lot of them. This place does 7,000 a year. Each individual surgeon does about 700 a year. And in our country, we have people who do, but they maybe do 20 or 30 a year. So I wanted to go to a place where they did a lot. And it actually is very competitive in the free marketplace. It's a privately owned hospital. What I will pay, and I will have to pay cash, it's not socialized medicine because I'm paying cash, that's capitalism. The price is actually about a half to a third of what insurance pays. And we have some hospitals like this. There's a famous one in Oklahoma City that does mostly cash for people who either don't have insurance or have high deductibles, and actually brings the prices down. It's an amazing thing what happens when you let capitalism actually work in healthcare.
Well, that's what I was referring to. I mean, the media doesn't go through understanding this is a private hospital. You're paying for it. This is not socialized medicine, and Medicare for all, which is, of course, what the left is doing. What are you going to do in terms of this divide? I mean, you actually were assaulted because of someone who didn't agree with you politically, and you've got a new freshman class now with completely different ideas. You've got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez talking about 70% tax rates. What's the plan to deal with this for the next 2 years? You
know, I was there at the ball field shot at when Steve Scalise was almost killed. One young staffer was shot 10 feet from me, so I was there for a mass shooting. You know, I was violently attacked from behind with no awareness that the person was coming towards me. And so, yeah, I've been through a lot. It's funny, when I don't read the comments very often on Twitter and different things, but when you read any of them, there's such malevolent hate out there. I guess some of it's the internet that you're anonymous, so you can be even more hateful. But it's bringing out the worst in people. I'll tell you, and people don't report this enough. One of my better friends in the Senate is Ron Wyden. Yeah. Kirsten Gillibrand's a good friend. They're both progressive Democrats. I work with Ron Wyden on privacy. I worked with Kirsten Gillibrand on trying to prevent military assaults in the military. Yeah. We do work together. We don't hate each other. We disagree on a lot of stuff, but we actually work together on things. And so the hatred that you're seeing back and forth on the internet really isn't real in Washington. It's worse on the internet.
It doesn't reflect what's really going on. Senator, good to see you.
Thank you.
Senator Rand Paul.